Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Star Wars Day by Day, otherwise known as CG Fix Your Game. Apparently, if you haven't heard, Punishing One is too good. Why? Because despite the fact that if you didn't hear, it's true. Because even though CG didn't, in fact, in the Punishing One's kit, call out anything to do with the Leviathan, apparently it destroys the Leviathan. I'm just going to sort of leave that there and not say anything for a couple minutes. Maybe not. It destroys the Leviathan. And apparently that's a problem because it wasn't supposed to. And credit to Arnold, I don't always agree with everything Arnold says, but the way he put it is apparently CG thinks there's like 50 fleets they have to text them against. And I think I talked about this in a free-to-play video yesterday, is what if there was a fleet GAC thing? Maybe I talked about it here on this channel too. It's like, what if there's a fleet GAC team where sort of like how they have Grand Arena, where you put 5 and, different groups of 5 teams out there. What if you put different fleets? And they came out with more ships for each fleet, but, I guess that people don't buy that, but I don't think people are buying a whole lot of anything, because when CG doesn't, when it's like before the Punishing One, the last ship that came out with was the Comeuppance at the end of last year, and the one previous to that was the Marauder year before, and before that was all the stuff for Leviathan. And so we basically, since we got the last ship over the past year and a half, we've gotten 3 ships, and and then they don't test the new one versus the old versus the fleet that they put out last year. I don't know. It's like, is it crazy because on paper the ship actually sounds good and it's actually good, and because it's too good they're gonna nerf it, even though, and the reason and they have to nerf it, let's be honest, because if they don't nerf it, why would people go for Leviathan when they can spend a lot less resources and have this Punishing One thing destroy everything? And Arnold did say there were some caveats on that. Apparently it's not as good versus the Negotiator, the Chimera, and the Finalizer as it is against the Leviathan and the Profundity. If that's the case, yeah, maybe it should be better if it's not that good against the Finalizer and the Negotiator. I mean, it's not like my fleet is just covered with Executor and Finalizer as it already is, except for the fact that it is Executor. And if we go all the way to the top ranks, what do we have up here at the top? Executor, Profundity, Executor. How is this guy here? That's what I want to know. What? Now that I'm looking at him, I'm like, what does this guy have that I don't have, that he's this high in Fleet Arena? And the answer is maybe a 4-star punning. 1 pun is about it. And he's a couple million over me, but it's whatever. Yeah, this guy's sitting in number floor in Fleet Arena with the exact same one. He's got a little bit better punching one, but other than that, he's got the exact same level executor as I do. I mean, just look at it. There's a negotiator. Here, I think I lost this negotiator earlier because it's a good negotiator. I'm gonna be honest. And I am all the way. I mean, I'm not low. It's not like I'm out of the thing, but I'm down here at 12th. I'm at 12th, y'all. I'm at 12th. That's where I am. 12th. I'm at 12th. Maybe this is the guy I beat earlier. I don't know. But, so I'm not doing too bad. Because this is the one account for whatever reason. I happen to hit Fleet Arena on the right day, and I'm still, right there in the thick of it. And I'm not here on that. But it's like, what if you just came out with more shit? I mean, I mean, you know, when the Leviathan came out, I was like, okay, I'm not there. I don't have any characters to be able to get there. Doesn't affect me at all. And then they come out with the Marauder, and I'm like, okay, it takes 4 guys to pilot it, and it's not really going to affect me, but whatever. And then they come with the come up, and so I'm like, okay, Radis needed help, and every time I run up against the comeuppance, I get you know stuff pushed in, and but I don't, but people don't really use the Radis a whole lot, and then now they come up with the punishing one, and this is the first one that actually affects me because and people are going to be mad about it because literally, because it's like, I mean, I'm going to say literally, I'm going to back away from that real quick, but for the most part, everybody and their sister has the executor, you know, and on my free to play channel, I'm even like, you know what? We could theoretically just roll SLKR, who's what I'm grinding on my free to play account, by the way. I'm like, we could theoretically roll this SLKR farm into an executor farm. And admittedly, I don't know how good of an idea that is, but it's an idea. And I think it's worth, for me at least, I feel like it's worth looking into. It might not be anything, but it could be amazing. And I'd like to find out which it is, if it's horrible, or if it's amazing. But I mean, doing SLK is gonna take us a while, and then obviously I know the ins and outs of the executor farm because I've done it 3 times on 3 different accounts, and I know it's not super hard. It's a lot easier, of course, when you don't limit yourself by hoarding crystals, which obviously I need to make a decision whether I'm going to hoard or if I'm just going to start spending and just, spend them and smoke them if you got them, basically. And I'm leaning smoking them if you got them on here. I'm not leaning that way on my free to play account, my free to play that I just talked about. But I do. But there is some obvious pluses to at least entertaining the notion of hoarding some stuff. And the question, the only question is, to what end? To what end are you going to hoard stuff? And I think honestly, we're just going to spin on here and let the chips fall where they may. But as with everything, hindsight is always 20/20, and there could be something right around the corner that we're not seeing. Big question we need to concern ourselves with is: am I going to be able to get to a seventh Zeta before we get to the end of this thing? Before we get to day 530, which is probably about 5 weeks away. But of course, I don't have any idea because I don't know. But yeah, I think we're. I don't know. I think you have a right to be pissed at CG that if they end up nerfing this thing, because it's like, hey, insert word here, abbreviation here, didn't you something test this something ship, and because it's like why are you doing this? You seriously didn't test it versus the Leviathan? I mean, Arnold was saying before he even unlocked it, he had folks that were saying, hey, guess what? I mollywopped this Leviathan over here. And so this isn't Arnold. This is, no, obviously it's not me, but it's somewhere probably between me and Arnold, who's saying, hey, guy, I just wrecked this fool's Leviathan. And it wasn't hard. Because I could be wrong, but tell me if I'm wrong, because he's saying that he had a three, him and on his free to play account, he took his 3-star punishing one. And granted, it had all the abilities done, which is a luxury that if you're at in game and you're just hoarding, you have every ship done, then obviously that's something you have available, and that's something I don't probably have, which is probably why these other guys are doing that, because they're just like, yeah, well, I got my executor. My executor's doing what I needed to do, so I don't really have to build up any other fleet, and I get that. But at the same time, the outlook that I'm trying to take is eventually they're going to come out with a new fleet that's going to be the new hotness. And sure, I could save up my stuff for that eventuality, or I could just do it all and worry about that down the road. And there is a, if you're the person who's like, I just have the one fleet, I have the Executor, or I have the Leviathan, or I have the Profundity, and I don't worry about anything else. Or maybe you're a person who's like, I don't care about none of that Leviathan, none of that none of those Journey Guide legendary ships, GL ships. I have this negotiator that will blow you out of the stars because the Marauder, or or I know how to play, or you know, have Second Sister, and I have the TIE Interceptor, and then I have the Scythe, and so I can take down you with my with my Empire because I'm that good. Or maybe you're just somebody who's like, I, I danced with who brung me. I went for SLKR, and I decided that the only capital ship I was ever going to invest in was going to be First Order, and long live the First Order and all that fun stuff. I don't know, but it's like I'm trying to build the fleet up because you know I'm still doing GOTV, and there's these light side battles and there's these dark side battles, and so I sort of have to be able to counter them. I use my Executor on defense and fleet arena, so I need a fleet for offense and fleet arena. And so that's the reason why I'm working on the negotiator, right? Am I working on the negotiator? Because it's possible that I'm not even working on the negotiator. I'm not. I was totally lying. I'm not even working on the negotiator. How do I know? It's right here. It's still level 1. No, well, I'm definitely working on. I'm definitely saving up stuff to put on here. I got all these builds at level 7. I do have to take this to level 7, but I know it's not a deal breaker because I got all the other ones. But the plan is, at some point, I'd like to build a negotiator. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use all this capital ship currency, save it, and use that on the Executor first, and then after that, then we can start worrying about this. But for right now, what I'm doing is the gerbil trick, which I know probably pisses a lot of y'all off because it's, if you don't know it, you don't know it. But it's good, it's low cost, and for those of you who don't know, you just use the Biggs, and it's supposed to be the Ravenclaw, which nobody likes. So it's supposed to be the preferred method is using Biggs as your tank, and then Biston's your wing, and the Ravenclaw on your starting lineup, and then you bring in the Millennium Falcon, and that basically does the rest of the work, and you annihilate whatever's there because you're bringing the reinforcement of the Millennium Falcon in off the bench. And people don't like that, but that's what it is. And so right now, you look down here, and we look at my Galactic Republic ships, and you look at what's done. It's on this account, it's just the ETA2. Snips is close. Then we have, but I'm trying to build these because I do want the negotiator at some point. But obviously, look over here, and I'm not even done with the endurance on this account. And so, I saw somebody, I can't remember, it was probably a month ago, he just built the entire endurance fleet up. He had like Mace at like Relic 5 with everything done, and he had the entire fleet at Relic 5, and he had a B8, and he just did it with the endurance. He didn't even have negotiator. He didn't even have anything else. He just was, and I can't remember where where that was or if it was in one of my fleet arenas, but I feel like it was, and he just tore me up. That's plain and simple. Because I remember looking at him, I'm like, what is this guy doing? This is an endurance. I'm not supposed to lose to an endurance. How is this happening? And then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, what the? And that's what it was. I don't know. I still got to do all this. I don't have Zetas for my Geobrood Alpha, so I can't do this. Maybe I will soon. I don't know. Do you know? If you do know, let me know. If you don't know, I don't know. Anyway, we had a good night at church tonight. We had a volunteer banquet, and it was a blast. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, God bless. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. And hold the line, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.